Okay, hi guys, welcome back to the Audio Levels channel and welcome back to another review. Today we've got another really good earphone for you. This is going to be a review of the beautiful Theaudio Clairvoyance Tribrid earphones. So yet another Tribrid from Theaudio. And this is going to round out the collection of like the Monarch, the Oracle and the Excalibur. And we're going to talk about this one. It comes in sort of similar price to the Monarch. If you're new here at the channel, welcome. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're getting super close to 2,000 followers on this channel, and you get a few different advantages if you join and jump aboard this channel. First of all, you get to ask any questions. If you're subscribed to the channel, you want recommendations, go ahead, subscribe to the channel, then leave a comment down below, and I'm pretty good at answering most of the questions. I'll give you my opinion on what to buy based off of my experience and the way that I listen. So if you're somebody that likes music the way that I like it, or likes equipment to perform in the way that I like it, and you like some other stuff that I've liked in reviews, then there's a good chance that you're going to get along with something else that I recommend. So that's one of the advantages. The other advantages that the other advantage that I'm super excited about for this month is, and I may as well announce it right now, that this month I'm giving away, I'm going to give away a $100 Linsole voucher. Basically what I said last month was that I was going to give away last month's or September's AdSense revenue. AdSense on this channel, don't get twisted, it's not a lot of money. It's under $70. So I'm going to bump that up, and I'm going to give somebody a $100 voucher from this community and this channel. So go ahead and subscribe to that, just as a thank you, as we're closing in on 2,000. I would expect to have 2,000 followers this month, fingers crossed. So yeah, as a thank you, I'm going to give away a Linsole voucher. The reason I'm giving away a Linsole and not an Amazon voucher is just because a lot of the people on this channel are not in an Amazon zone. So you have people in places where you might not be able to get the earphones you want delivered to your house. So if I give away a Linsole one, they offer international shipping. So without further ado, let's get into this. This is the Theaudio Clairvoyance. It is a 1 dynamic driver, 5 balanced armature and 2 electrostatic driver Tribrid earphones. So the advantage of that is that you're getting the best of all worlds. You're getting the ability of the dynamic driver to move large quantities of air and recreate more accurately sub-bass in particular. You're getting the balanced armature detail and speed in the mid-range, and then you're getting that open and airy EST, super detailed, super fast and responsive, sparkly treble that you're going to get out the EST. So the Tribrids are a combination of drivers that places each driver in the best area possible for its qualities. The biggest one I can say is that you notice with these Tribrids, and hybrids for that matter, is that the dynamic driver, in comparison to an all-balanced armature set of earphones, like say the Kinera Sculled, beautiful as always, that's not a balanced armature earphone. It sounds fantastic, but it doesn't have that same dropping thump that you get with the volume of air that a large dynamic driver is able to carry. So that's the thing right now, is that Tribrids are super hot, and they're super hot for a reason. Tribrids really are becoming the sort of gold standard, especially the way that they've priced them. Most of them are priced $500 to $700. There's some expensive ones like these ones over here, the Kinera Balder 2. They're super expensive, and I've got a review coming on the channel, so subscribe if you want to see that. It should be up in the next week or so. They're like $1,300 or so. These are in the $700-ish range, and that $700 range causes real problems for companies like, let's see, this. For example, you have the Campfire Audio Dorado 2020. It's a great earphone in its own right. It's hybrid. Let's have a look at these. These are the Mezi Audio Rai Penta. Way overpriced. When you consider this is a $1,000 earphone, or more than $1,000, these these Tribrids, Tribrids like the Fearless Audio Roland, the Oracle, the Excalibur. All of those earphones are, these two are in the $500-ish range, $500-600. This $1,000. All of these outperform these easily. So you're talking about a new sort of order coming out of China with these Tribrid technologies that are really, really well tuned, and I think that's where the Clairvoyance kind of fits in, is in that tuning. What Theaudio have done is they've got a few earphones at the $500 range, and then they've got the two earphones around about $700. They have the Monarch, which I don't have here just now because of COVID. I've got the Monarch and I've got the Clairvoyance, and the difference in them is just purely down to tuning. Technically, they're both fantastic sounding earphones, and this is kind of following in with what Theaudio are trying to do. They're trying to give you multiple choices depending on the way that you listen to music, and I think that's a very important thing, to have a very flushed out and competent earphone range. If you think of companies like Shure, for example, now Shure have a very structured hierarchy. They have the SE215, or this is the way it used to be. I know they've now got the Ionics, and I rate the Ionic 3s, but let's talk about the traditional model, the Shure SE215, the 315, the 425, the 535, and then the 846. It was just one tuning going up, 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 and up, and those earphones sounded different themselves. But what if you had $200 to spend, or $150, for example, and your only option in the Shure catalog is the 215? There was no, if you didn't like that warm sort of natural Shure progression house sound, there was no other option in the Shure catalog for you. What Theaudio and a lot of these Chinese brands are doing right now is they're giving at least two options at most price points. For example, this one is the far flatter of the two. The Monarch is more of a V-shaped, aggressive sounding earphone. Similarly, you have the Oracle. This one here is the Oracle, and again, it's a more flatter, natural, neutral response in comparison to something like the Excalibur. Both fantastic earphones in their own right, and it comes down to the way you listen to music and the type of music you listen to. If you listen to a lot of EDM and stuff like that, the Monarch, which are competing with these, are going to be better for the way you listen, just because it's got a greater sub-bass response. This one is going to be more neutral overall, suited to a wide range of genres. Like it'll do well with jazz, it'll do well with classical, rock, that sort of stuff. So this is going to be the main differentiator. But let's get into the packaging. At first, the packaging is the same right across all the Theaudio Tribrid series. You get this very nice high quality box. You open it up and you'll find the earphones presented in there with the accessories in the case below. You get a little Theaudio cleaning cloth, which you don't really need that badly because they're not really fingerprint magnets. You do get a beautiful case. I've recommended Pelican 1010 cases for people's IEMs for forever now. I just rate it as the best case, and this is very similar. It's got foam padding on the inside, it's a hard shell on the outside, it's sealed to give some sort of water protection, and you'll get all the accessories on the inside. Now with this, you don't get too many options in the ear tips, but the ones you do get are pretty decent. You get some spin fit style, and you get some foamies, plus you get these adapters for adapting the cable, which the cable on this comes in a 2.5mm balanced, and this one is the 3.5mm regular and the 4.4mm balanced. So it's not as good as something like if we take the Shure or the Duna Hulk Pro. The Duna Hulk Pro cable has this interchangeable system whereby you pull it and reconnect, and you can change the connectors that way. This is just your standard old school extension cable, and the only issue that I have with that is that it makes it just a little bit too long for my liking. Apart from that, Accessory is really, really good. Now, before we get into looking at the earphones, let's take a look at this cable. Theaudio's cables are on point. I've gone back and forth with Linsol over the course of maybe 4 years or so, discussing cables with them and the importance of them, and I've really been critical of like earphones with bad cables. This one's a beauty. This one is so well made. It's just a beautiful looking cable, and it performs really well. It retains a little bit of memory, but it's very high quality. You have the little jack point there, as I say, 2.5mm balanced. This is just an adapter that I put on. I've actually been using the same cable, the one for the Monarchs actually. It's the same cable, that's the one I've been using. I've just put this one back on. For the purpose of this review, metal with a little grip built in, no knurling on it, Theaudio logo, you can probably just see there. Tiny little strain relief, that's fine. Open it up, it is 4 strands in a twist pattern, so it's not braided. You go into a metal splitter, really nice, again matching the jack points, and then you get a little disc shaped cable splitter. Cable cinch, if you want to tighten that up around your neck. And after the split point, the cable does split into 2 strands, twisted again, and then you have a very generous cable loop system over the top of your ears, going into a 2-pin connector, which I'm not the biggest fan of, just because the one on this is flush mounted. So it's flush mounted instead of, let's see, recessed. So that's a recess, and that is a flush mounting one, and I just think the recess provides a little bit more protection. Now, in terms of build quality, the build quality on these earphones is fantastic. It's the all resin shell. It feels dense, it feels weighty enough. It is definitely bigger than the Oracle, for example. If you take a look at them side by side, that is the Clairvoyance on the left and the Oracle on the right. It might not appear that big on camera, but it's quite a hefty difference in real life. It is big, so I would say medium to large ears. Let's grab the KZ AST. I mean, this I complained about being a big earphone. This is not far off it. The thing that this has going for it is that it's very ergonomically friendly. Like, it is shaped to fit inside your ear and lock in tightly against your tragus and anti-tragus. In terms of the build quality, there's absolutely seamless on the design and absolutely flawless. And you have that beautiful faceplate with the pearl on one side and the sort of glitter on the other, with the Theaudio logo right down the middle. You have a metal nozzle, which I love just because I've talked about this before, where earphones like this, the Fearless Audio Roland, has a resin tip on it. So if you drop it and it hits the ground, this is far more prone to cracking than the metal tip will probably just bounce off somewhere. There is 4 bores, you can't see it just now, but you can sort of see it through this metal grill. There's 4 bore holes, and I believe it's a 4-way crossover design on the inside. So technologically and design and build quality wise, this is right up there with as good as it gets. I mean, as I say, this is a $1,300, $1,400 earphone. It is gorgeous. It is made out of wood, but you know, in the hand, these feel more premium. So I think that's something like, unless you're going to something like the Campfire Audio Solaris, you're not really going to get much better build quality than that. Now, in terms of sound, this is incredible sounding, this earphone. This and the Monarch, they both have their own place. It's just going to depend on the way that you listen to your music. The way that the Clairvoyance presents the music is far more neutral bias. There's no over prominence. The Monarch has a leaning towards more sparkling highs and a deeper sub bass response. This has more emphasis on mid-bass detail and quality. It still has good sub-bass response. It is still a bass elevated earphone, don't get me wrong. But there's not so much a recess in the lower mid-range as well. So that makes it a much more linear thing to listen to, making it very versatile for a lot of genres. You can get away with this for EDM and stuff. It's not what I would say is optimum for that sort of music. But if you're predominantly listening to rock, jazz, classical, J-pop, J-rock, the Asian style tuning, and this is probably why Theaudio have jumped on this sort of tuning, is because you need to remember that the way people listen in Asia to music is very, very different. There's a lot of emphasis, almost crazy emphasis on female vocalization and stuff like that, higher notes. They have a very, very different way of listening to music. And living in Japan for when I was younger, it was something I noticed with the earphones. I was like, whoa, these are really bright and light on bass. That kind of comes forward here, but it doesn't go as aggressively in reducing the bass. The bass here is, sub bass is slightly lighter, but still over neutral, I would say. But the mid bass in this, like when you're listening to jazz and you're hearing the details come through on this bass, something that the Monarch does very well, and I've talked about this before, that the BAs seem to be tuned lower than where you have something with let's take the Oracle for example, because it's more similarly tuned with that more neutral response. I said in the Oracle review that the dynamic driver seems to take care of all the bass, so you're depending on the dynamic driver to do the sub bass and the mid bass. I've always thought that there's a good case for putting some of the balanced armature down into that bass as well, and having an overlap in that mid bass range, and that's what seems to happen here. You seem to have the detail and the texture of the mid bass covered by the balanced armature, as well as the dynamic driver working in tandem, as opposed to there being a handover point in the lower mid range. That makes it a very, very detailed listen. I think that one of these areas where people talk about detail being so in your face and wow is definitely where treble becomes a really detailed treble. That brings out a lot. We've had balanced armatures for a long, long time that handle detail in the mid range very, very well, and it's been doing that for a long time, 10 plus years. The EST's brought something special to the upper range. But when you've got this combination of hybrid technology in the lower end of the dynamic driver working with balanced armature, you have such a detailed and clear expression of detail that you might not be picking up from just a dynamic driver purely on its own. So in terms of that, that's where I think you're getting this impression of like, whoa, there's a lot of detail in here. It's because you're getting the detail in the mid bass as well as from the EST drivers up top. Now the mid range is far more neutral than or is far more pushed up prominent, but more neutral in line with the lows and the highs than you do get with the Monarch. The Monarch seems to dip down, but it's not actually dipping down. It's just that the bass and the upper mids treble are enhanced on the Monarch. This is a far more flatter response, leading to things like vocals especially sound far more forward and in your face. So if you like that sort of thing, and I think there's plenty of genres that do well for that, even like guitar solos and stuff like that sound far more in your face and prominent on this earphone, the Clairvoyance. The highs are just the same fantastic highs that you get from that EST. You've got the electrostatic drivers that are able to move so unbelievably fast and create this crisp detail, and that lends itself to creating this larger than life soundstage. I think the soundstage on these are big. I'm still getting more soundstage from the cheaper planar magnetic headphones than hi-fi and stuff like that, just because it's such a weird 3D presentation on them. This though gives that sort of floaty impression, that treble induced sound space, and it just sounds fantastic. Now, as I've talked about, the type of music you want to listen to with this is going to be most beneficial with rock, vocal, instrumental. The ones that is going to be less adept at is going to be the lower frequency ones like EDM, rap, hip hop, R&B, that sort of stuff. I think you're going to get more musicality, for say, out of the Monarch, or even, you know, if that's what you're listening to, I would even go for the Excalibur over these, just because it would be better suited to that. However, if you're somebody that listens to rock, classical, blah 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 blah, you're looking at the Clairvoyance and the Oracles are going to be better suited for you. Either way, like, none of these earphones are bad earphones at all. I mean, these earphones truly do compete with $1,000 earphones from established Western brands. You know, these are competing against things like the Shure SE846, the Mezi Audio Rai Pentas, you know, some of those $1,000 earphones that just China is really flexing its muscle now at this point, in being able to produce these at such a low price. And Theaudio are one of the ones, along with, I would say, Shure, that are able to showcase the fact that they're able to tune their earphones fantastically. I think right now the two best companies with in terms of tuning, overall tuning as an overall range of earphones, Theaudio to me are up there, and the other one, Dunu. Dunu are still some of the kings when it comes to tuning. Now, in terms of Western brands, you would have Campfire Audio would definitely be in there, but Campfire Audio also makes some horrendous sounding earphones, and some overpriced earphones, just in comparison to what else is on the market in terms of sound quality. This is easily recommended in my eyes. This is one that people have been asking about for a long time, and I'm probably going to do some specific Tribrid comparisons again, and I'll maybe update the big list of Tribrid IEMs that I did about a month ago, 2 months ago. I'll maybe update that towards Christmas as I get more Tribrids in. I do have a lot of Tribrids, maybe 10 Tribrids here right now. So it's probably going to be best if I compare those and tell you which one's best for which reason. But in terms of Theaudio Excalibur, let's go with ones that I recommend. Theaudio Excalibur, Theaudio Oracle, Theaudio Clairvoyance, Monarch, Fearless Audio Roland, not the La Hire, can't recommend that one. The Zen's Up, the Shure AJ07M, and the Dunu EST112. They're the ones that are sort of the pick of the crop right now, and I can assure you that these will be as well. These are nuts, the Balders. But as I say, a review's coming soon with that one. Again, I'm sorry about letting this review ramble. I'm going to timestamp it again so that, you know, if you watch my reviews regularly, I'm going to start timestamping everything so you know where everything is. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe, like, all that good stuff, and yeah, subscribe if you want to be in with a chance of winning a $100 Linsol voucher at the end of this month. I'll announce the winner on my Instagram or Facebook page. And yeah, welcome to the channel if you're new. Thanks again for watching if you're back, and I'll see you in the next video.